This is Steve Schiffman, and I want to thank you very much for joining me on this podcast webcast that we try to put out virtually every day. It has only one purpose, and that is to help you sell more. That's all. I don't want to give you dribble. I don't want to give you stuff that doesn't make any sense. I don't want to repeat what everybody else has repeated. I want to give you things that you can use today that'll make you into a more successful salesperson. That's all I want. I want you to be successful at what you do. And since you sell, I want you to be successful as a salesperson. Now, I do a lot of reading, and you should too. If you're not reading a book, at least one book every month, you're making a mistake because you pick up things in that. I read a book recently, and I have it. But I want to read the quote to you because I think this is interesting. The best way to destroy an enemy is to make him a friend. The best way to destroy an enemy is to make him a friend. Abraham Lincoln said that during the Civil War. And if you know something about his circle of friends that he brought into the White House, into Congress, into the cabinet, they were really his enemies. They started out not liking him. They started out really wanting to destroy him. But he converted them to friends because he needed them. He needed their expertise. Now, that's what you need. The person that you're talking to, their business, they know better than anybody does. So you need their expertise in order to be successful, in order to make a proper recommendation. Now remember, I don't use the word proposal. I don't use it. And some of you who've written to me, and I've gotten a number of great emails, have said to me, you know, I don't know why we use proposal, because everybody else does. And a proposal, of course, has the standard things. That is the cover, introduction, executive overview, and finally, all the way at the end, is the pricing. I don't do that. First of all, I discuss pricing early in the game. Pricing is the first thing in my recommendation. Based upon what we're thinking about, this is what I think it's going to cost. I tell people that. Because why is there a surprise to that? And why am I trying to surprise them at what I want to charge? What's the point of that? But that's not the point. In order for you to actually get information from the prospect that you're trying to sell to, remember you haven't sold yet, is to make them your friend. Now, I don't mean go up and hug them. I had a manager that I knew from a stationery company who literally would hug you when he made the sale. And he'd be a big guy, and he was just the nicest guy in the world. And after he made a sale, it was binders. After he made the sale, he'd come up and hug you. Come here, Steve, give me a hug. He's huge. He was huge. He was like a bear. But you know, I remember him. I remember his face. I remember him hugging. And he said, group hug. Let's all get together. Group hug. But he could pull that off. I don't know that I could do that. But I do know that I want to be personable. I do know that I want the people that I'm talking to think, because I do, that I'm genuinely interested in what they have to say and why they say it. But you may not be asking those questions. You've got to find out something about the person that you're talking about in order to befriend them. Now, I'm not talking about befriending somebody because you got 30 seconds and you're never going to see them again. You're just going to sell them paper clips. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking develop a long-term relationship that's going to be, careful now, a business relationship. Do not confuse a personal relationship with a business relationship. I have only maybe 2 people in the world right now that are my friends. One is actually my best friend, who I met in his business years ago, when he was an executive vice president, worked up well, and I met him again in different companies. He brought me in, maybe 6 companies. So he became now, after we're all done, after he's retired, he became one of my best friends. He is my best friend. But that doesn't happen that often. But still, you need to befriend them. So what do you need to ask? Well, you want to know something about them. For example, do they have kids? Where do they live? How did they get the job they got? Do they like it? Oh, you can't answer that question. I'm sure you can. If somebody says to you, you know, I came over here just 6 months ago, you go, did it work out the way you expected? Say it. Just say it. Did it work out the way you expected? Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, then you know something about the job. On the other hand, they may say, oh, this is the best thing I ever did. Glad I did it. Well, that's great. Now you know something more about them. The point I'm making is you need to ask questions. And the questions you're asking the person is about themselves and what they do and how they do it and when they do it and where they do it and who they do it with. Now, I'm going to give you an example of something important. I want you to listen because this is what you do. I had to go to a doctor a couple of weeks ago for my hand. It hurt. And I didn't know what it was. I really didn't know. Arthritis, I don't know, but it hurt. So I called up and made an appointment with a hand specialist. I'm not going to give you his name, but I went to see this guy. And he is known throughout the little group there as being tough, really tough. And I know from that experience, because afterwards, he's going to do an injection into my hand. That hurts. Let me tell you, there's nothing that hurts more than an injection in your hand. But here's what I did. As he walked into the examining room where I'm sitting there, because I've been told to sit there, and of course you and I both know, when a doctor tells you to sit there, you sit there. You're sitting there naked for all you know, but you're sitting there with that little robe on. He's going to work on my hand, but I got a little robe. When he walked in, I said, you know, that's a beautiful sports jacket. You hear that? That's what I said. You know, that's a beautiful sports jacket. He said, yeah. I said, yeah. Where'd you get it from? Well, I don't know. It's an old thing, he said. But he took it off. And he started to look at the label to show me where he got it. Isn't that ridiculous? We are talking about his sports jacket. All of a sudden, his demeanor released. The injection wasn't going to be much fun, but it was going to be better. But his whole attitude towards me changed. Because I simply said, you know, that's a beautiful jacket. But see, you wouldn't say that. You know you won't. You know that. You're going to go pick out, well, the guy plays golf. When was the last time you said to a doctor, hey, doc, I really like the tie. I really like the dress. You don't say that. You like your shoes. You don't say that. But you should. It's called a pattern interrupt. It changes the norm of the conversation. Because the norm of the conversation is going to go straight to the point. I'll give you another example. I teach people how to sell, companies, big companies, a lot of people, how to sell men's clothing. Well, if you walk into the companies that I've worked with and the salesperson is standing there, whether they're male or female, you know, from me, I can tell you now, they're not going to say, can I help you? Or are you looking for anything? Because that's not what they're taught. What I said to them is when somebody walks into the store, big store, high-end clothing, we're talking $2,000 to $5,000 a suit, not custom made either, just off the rack. I said, this is what you're going to say. You know, I love your tie. You just say that. And they all looked at me. I love that tie. Have you seen our new ties that just came in yesterday? Now, what do you think the person's going to say? Probably no, he hasn't. And now you have an opportunity to say, come over, take a look at this counter. Boy, look at that suit. Look at that shoe. All of a sudden, you have a way in which you can direct your conversation to where you, as a salesperson, want to be. So maybe the next time you walk in to see somebody, don't comment on the golf, don't comment on the awards, don't comment on where they've been right away. Instead, say, you know, I really like that jacket. You'll see they'll ease up. Because they didn't put that jacket on because they thought it did not look good. They put the jacket on because they thought it made them look good. So do you. Do you put something on, a shirt or a jacket, that you say, this is really crappy, I look terrible? Of course not. And they don't either. Hey, this is Steve Schiffman. If you need consulting, if you need training, let me know. Write to me, schiffman@steveschiffman.com. Look on the website. Call me if you want. Now, if you want to win a free book, and people are writing in, remember this week's word is root beer. Same as last week. Root beer. All you got to do, somewhere in that little note, hey, Steve, root beer. I'm going to send you a book if I pick your name. I've been getting people all over the world sending me root beer. I just happen to have it in front of me. So I want you to do what we said today. Remember, I started out, when I started this whole series, I said, I'm not going to give you fluff. I'm not going to do that dribble that people do in podcasts. Where, you go, okay, what happened? What did I learn? Or they say to you, what's the takeaway? No, you figure it out. You take it away. You take what you need from my conversations with you. Because these are really personal conversations. By the way, if you have a real question, not even real, you have a fake question, write to me. Hey, what do I do about this? What do I do in this situation? I coach 20 individuals a week, and I work with companies on site. Okay? So I want to thank you for joining me. 10 minutes. I want you to thank you for joining me. And as always, your presence honors me.